right, welcome to Screen Chat. I'm Neale Bashins, and this is the show where I talk with buddies about film and television and all the pop culture we see on big screens and small screens. With me today, once again, Warren Nightingale. Warren, say hi.
Hey, Neale, thanks so much. Hey, I'm back, so the first one must have went okay. Here we are.
It did go okay, and you are back. Also back again, Simon Ovid. Simon, say hey.
Hey, everyone. How's everybody doing? Once again, Neale, thanks again for inviting me over for this.
Thank you.
I'm just more surprised we came back.
Thanks for coming back. All right, we all just saw Ant-Man and the Wasp, so we're going to talk a lot about it. So this is going to be spoilery. So if you haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp and you don't want it spoiled, maybe hit pause and come back again another time. But so this won't post until, it's already been out a couple weeks at this point, and this won't post for another couple weeks. So I think if you wanted to see Ant-Man and the Wasp, you would have already seen it. So we're also going to talk about probably Infinity War and all the Marvel MCUs. So
fun.
Spoiler, you be warned here. Past here, there be dragons, there be spoilers. So, kick off. Simon, what'd you think? Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
First impression.
Well, it'll be my second impression. I told Warren I actually saw Ant-Man and the Wasp a couple weeks ago, and this is my second round. All I have to say is, thank God it wasn't in 3D. I had a difficult time with the first round being in 3D. Mm-hmm. But all in all, what an entertaining movie. Just pure fun. It's like seeing the difference between 3D and 2D. I'm still impressed. Like, good story arc, great dynamics with the characters again. I loved, for me, I got the impression that there was two arguments within the group. But I'm not too sure if you guys caught on with that part. But
we'll dig into that. Warren, first impression.
It is exactly what I think pretty much you would expect from the film. It delivers as a fun summer film, a lighter fare, and enjoyable, certainly. Big moments and lots of fun stuff. So, to take it on face value, it certainly delivers in terms of what you would expect walking in. So, enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked it. Probably maybe half a notch behind the first Ant-Man for me. I thought it was still really funny. Much lighter than what just came with Infinity War, but it was going to be, and it needed to be. Maybe, they shouldn't all be the same flavor. So, overall, I liked it. I think, again, the funniest part was Michael Pena for me.
Oh, yeah. Especially, he's got a bit of a shtick there now, I think.
He does.
We're probably seeing
I
every
think
film.
that, if anything, it was not quite as organic as it was in the first one. Like, they knew that Michael Pena was the funny bit, so they had to work a bit to get him in there.
Yeah.
But overall, I found it entertaining.
And I think in the original film, there is room to explore, Ant-Man, the Ant-Man world, and have him, find his powers, and there's a lot of room for the growth of the character discovering this. Whereas in part two, it's kind of like, let's bring everybody back together, and here's kind of what our goal is. The one thing I do appreciate about this one is the antagonist. So often in so many superhero films, you have people who are trying to take over the world, and then just like Black Panther in this one, it kind of felt like, here's an antagonist that is a little bit more, has its own agenda, and it's not necessarily about some sort of, if I can get a hold of the plutonium, I can then foster this experiment, and then I'm going to be the ruler of you all. It's not none of that kind of stuff, which I kind of like.
I thought it was more relatable antagonist. I totally agree with you there.
Almost even sympathetic at points.
I would say, though, that in the story, in the narrative of it, it's not really about the antagonist. There's not, she's not very strong, and this did feel like there was multiple. There was Ghost, and then there was also Walton Goggins, whatever those guys were. And this movie, they don't really fight the antagonist. It's just sort of like everybody's chasing the MacGuffin of capturing.
Yeah, it's more like hoops they have to get over, as opposed to.
So they just keep. It's just a string of, now they stole it from us. Now we got to go steal it back from him. Oh, now somebody else stole it.
Yeah, it's not that leading up to the big fight at the end where it's the big face off. It's none of that kind of stuff. It's more like they have to jump over this hoop now that's been somebody's kind of thrown in their path.
This movie's a lot
of angles with this one though, because for me, after seeing a little glimpse of what Shield was up to, for that time period, so we got a little hint about how what was Lawrence Fishburne's character's name again?
Bill Foster.
Bill
Bill
Foster,
Foster.
yeah.
So we got a chance to see
Goliath from the comics.
Goliath
Yeah.
from the comics.
Did you catch that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
comparing
So we
sizes.
got a chance to see that. We got a chance to see a little bit of how Shield operates a little bit more. And so, like, right now, we're going to see, like, a lot of branches for Ant-Man right now. Like, we could probably even see, I think Michael Douglas wouldn't mind seeing, like, a prequel of, of the Hank Pym era of Ant-Man. So, like, there's really many ways to go
Falling
about
out
this.
of S.H.I.E.L.D. and...
I'll say the CG de-aging is getting scarier and scarier
Is that
for how good
fascinating?
it looks.
I know.
But would you do a whole movie of it? Like you're saying a prequel, Simon. Do you think they would do a whole... If they did a prequel, are you saying like with Michael Douglas or with a younger actor?
I would probably think more Michael Douglas, because after reading that article, it was more like he really wants this to happen for himself.
Of course, he wants the paycheck. But if you're the studio, like, do you want... Like, how... I don't know how expensive it is, but it's got to be pretty expensive to de-age them.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they got that kind of money to do it for a whole movie.
Well, that's the thing. So
Yeah.
if you were going to do a flashback, if you're balancing the money, like I think that's pretty expensive versus like what's the financial returns on Ant-Man? Because I think this one was, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it was more a middle to lower of the pack financial return. And they don't all have to be $1 billion because they're not all going to be.
Or they may not just do that all. You could just do like flashbacks, like say half the movie would be flashback to some sort of experiment that he was working on, and all of a sudden present day, they have to stop that weapon that he created or stop that device.
Do you think there's going to be another Ant-Man movie?
I would like to see one. I know-
Okay, you'd like to,
Yeah,
but do you
it's-
think there will?
it's-
Like, I don't know.
it's hard to say.
Financially, the thing is,
Have you checked the box office in this one?
I
have not.
could pull it up right now, but
Yeah.
what I would say is that the MCU, we got to think about that eventually they keep creating more and more franchises.
Yeah.
At some point, it's going to collapse under its own weight. Not all of them are going to move forward with sequels. So at some point, I almost think, like, I would say Ant-Man and the Wasp almost function better as they are going to be part of the Avengers
Right.
or guests in other people's movies rather than, I don't know, like, what's another story of Ant-Man?
I do like the idea of a prequel and the idea of de-aging. For me, my preference is just simply to have another actor, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just because the technology's there to do it doesn't mean necessarily we
I
have
will
to.
say that even with before I look at the numbers, I would say that financially they could not afford to do a whole Michael Douglas de-aged movie. It's not going to make the money back. It's not that when they do the math, it's not going to work out.
Well, in that case, we should have another actor then.
Yeah, and would you much rather see, let's say, rather than a Michael Douglas film, like somebody an up-and-coming, a little heartthrob being that character or something like that? I would think a studio would, I'm saying. Would rather have, somebody who that they see is going to be kind of a future star, and they may even do more than one of those type of films.
But we also got to keep in mind, I think the reason they went through with the sequel for Ant-Man and the Wasp is more like another bridge for Infinity War.
Yeah.
Because like every character right now, between now until the part 2 of it comes out, it's always going to be that bridge leading up to it. Like, what's their role for the part 2 of it? So, like, to me, it's like maybe this is it for Ant-Man and the Wasp, and just be part of the team afterwards, depending on the outcome, of course. So.
What was the wording at the end of the film? I'm trying to remember now. It said...
Ant-Man and the Wasp will return
With a question mark.
Was there
and
a
that can be
question mark?
will return in Avengers, right?
Yeah. So that could very much be just kind of where they'll attach that sort of aspect to the franchise.
Okay, right now through not quite 3 weeks,
Yeah.
they're worldwide like just over 300 million.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably going to finish up around 4, maybe.
Yeah.
It might get to 400. Yeah, that was through 20 days of release.
Okay.
So that won't count this weekend. So this weekend, like last weekend, it took about a 50% drop. So probably again the same. So it might not even get to 400 million. So I don't know if that really, in the business sense, says there's going to be another Ant-Man movie. At least not right now.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of other things in development, and the characters really work fun. But the more work, I thought their interplay, I would say, to back up a second, I thought the two of them worked really well. And I thought Wasp being added in as a more serious action, like he's still kind of the goofy, like, oops, I'm slipping on a banana peel fight. But she really kicked ass, and I thought she was really cool.
I thought so too. I would have liked to have seen them sort of trying to fumble through their relationship a little bit more. Like to me, kind of, it pretty much was like, oh, you know what? I'm mad at you because you left, and now you're back, and we'll just pick up where we left off.
And that really didn't get serviced that much. They were more Michael Douglas and
that's when I come up with the. That's why I saw it. For me, I saw two arguments.
Yeah.
You know, the father and daughter mad at Scott for what they did, but also the argument between Hope and Scott is saying, hey, if you're in trouble, if you're going to do this, why didn't you help me out? And I'm referring to Civil War, of course.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, it's like that's why I saw two arguments right there.
Right.
The argument between father and daughter against Scott, and also the argument between Hope and Scott right there. Right. And it's almost like the guy just can't win against the Pims right now.
A lot of the arguments, though, were just like set up and pay off for later jokes.
Yeah. And that's the kind of neat thing about Ant-Man. Like the character right from the start is that he's always up against the world. So it seems to like he can't, no matter what he does, even though he's got a heart of gold and he's trying to do things for the right reasons, he seems to pay for it. And I just would have, in this film, I would like to see him to work a little bit harder to get their trust back a little bit. But of course, I get it too that there's stuff that they have to do and blow ups and fights and other things, and that just kind of hit the wayside. But for me, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more in that world, a little bit of them trying to work, because then deepens the affection, and even just those line looks. Because in the first one, he had them trained together, and he had the time for them to kind of build that chemistry. Whereas this kind of felt like it was just, okay, we're just back. And so for me, it just felt a little cheated in that sense, which would have been nice. I think could have had some payoff there, but
yeah.
It would have been good to see like just one big argument so they could just get it off their chest.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like just have Scott have it in with Michael Douglas and just say, "Hey, I'm sorry," but like a really big blowout, like even to a punch that Michael Douglas punches him out or something like that.
Here's a big training session between Wasp and Ant-Man, and she totally takes out her frustrations on him.
Paul Rudd never gets to that level, though.
At the same time, and I don't know.
Paul Rudd never really gets to that emotional level, though.
No. It would be good. He's
so laid back all the time. The closest thing he has, and it's not the closest thing he has to a deeper conversation is with the little girl. Yeah, is with Cassie.
I was about to say maybe with Phoebe from Friends, maybe. Yeah.
Phoebe from Friends.
Yeah, that was a throwback relationship from Friends.
I'm not familiar with Friends.
I've
seen part of one episode.
Was he?
Friends. Yeah.
Never knew.
Yeah, okay. Well, my bad.
So. No, my bad for being culturally unaware of one of the biggest sitcoms of all time. But so
it's on Netflix. You have to do some power watching.
I don't think I'm going to be.
Paul Rudd was very charming. I have to let you know on Friends.
Yeah. It would take a lot to get me into Friends. I have a theory that I had a girlfriend once upon a time that I think broke up with me because I did not get into Friends. It was her favorite show, and I did not diss it to her, but I was just kind of like, she tried to get me to watch it, and I just wouldn't. I was like, I'm more of a Seinfeld guy.
I was going to say, you like Seinfeld, but Friends is kind of like, Seinfeld for the next generation, I think, isn't it?
I guess it will just always have to remain.
But I think
I just got educated about Paul Rudd on Friends. Oh, my God.
There you go.
Well, but with Paul Rudd, I think it would have been good to see him get angry for once. Like, hey, I'm sorry. This is what I had to do. My back was up against the goal. What do you want me to do? I would love to see that kind of explosiveness happen.
I think we might get to see, maybe not anger, but we might get to see deeper emotional performance from Paul Rudd in Avengers 4.
Oh?
Because he is a big part of Avengers 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because of
confirmed. Like from set photos and stuff. Do you want me to spoil this? Are you cool with this? If we dig it a bit, it's not like they made announcements. It's not like they made announcements.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. A few hints that were laid down in Ant-Man here.
Right.
At the end in that post-credit scene before the snapshot, she says, "Don't get sucked into time vortexes. Careful of getting sucked into time vortexes." In the casting information for Avengers 4, they've cast a teenage girl as an older version of Cassie, of his daughter. And if you look in the set photos, when they're showing them flash back to the Battle of New York, you see Tony Stark as he was in the first Avengers film. You also see him dressed in a S.H.I.E.L.D. costume undercover, and his hair is grayer.
Okay.
So what I think happens, here's a theory, supported by this information, is that in Avengers 4, Tony Stark somehow knows Ant-Man's out there because he's met him before, knows him, and he figures out he's in the quantum realm, and Tony Stark builds a tunnel and sucks Ant-Man out of the quantum realm, but it's through a time vortex. So Avengers 4 is going to jump forward in time 7 or 8 years, And then they're going to use the quantum realm to travel back to the past. And they're doing something in the past to set up Thanos' defeat in the future. And that's why they're showing up in the past like that. So you might see Scott be a little more emotional because he'll have lost Wasp, because she's not in there, I don't think. And he'll have lost Pym and whatever. And also now he'll have lost years of his daughter's life. He'll be able to see her in the future, but it's like the whole world's been almost wiped out, and he'll be deeper. And he's going to have he's more involved in Avengers 4.
So they're really giving him a push.
It sure looks like it from that evidence, from those little hints.
So when you mentioned Tony Stark wearing a S.H.I.E.L.D. uniform, I wonder if that means that they're going to do the initiative angle afterwards.
I don't think they're thinking that far ahead. I think he's just in disguise. Like there's maybe part of it, and people are theorizing it's a S.H.I.E.L.D. uniform. It looks sort of shieldish. I don't know. It could be, but it's not like it's like they're in. But so.
Well, then that makes me wonder because in this film, they go more than once to the dialogue of the daughter being a partner. So I wonder that's
from the comics. She grows up to be a size-changing superhero.
Yeah, exactly. So I wonder if that's the setup there then for that, perhaps maybe.
Possibly as a future lay-in, but yeah, but.
Well, or if it's in the future, if she's also 10 years older. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How'd you feel about the snapshot at the end there in the post-credit scene? I heard you catch your breath.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was pretty awesome. Yeah. I enjoyed it. Again, it's kind of a nice little revisit to Infinity Wars, and yeah. No, I knew there was going to be some kind of tie-in. I was kind of expecting that. But all of a sudden, the quick cut to all of a sudden showing just the dust is it is that kind of nice little
you don't really see them, but you just see the after.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I thought was a nice touch. When I first saw it the first round, I'm like thinking it was like literally a holy shit moment. I'm like, oh wow, and all that. But at the same time,
poor Janet, man, she
just came back.
Like 30 years she was gone in there, and now she's back just to go
Yeah.
But I like the term that you came up with, the snapshot.
I did not I can't take credit for that one. I've read that one online. I just thought it was really clever, and so I've adopted it.
Yeah.
But hashtag snapshot.
Yep. So I think this kind of kills some fan theories. Like some people theorize that these people would be in the quantum realm or something like that, like all the people that got snapped away.
Well, somehow they sort of they have a ripple effect in there.
Yeah, but so I guess they're not in there. So then I guess it's back to thinking they're inside the Soul Stone in Soul World or whatever they're going to call it. But so did you notice that they put quantum in front of everything? Like they even cracked a joke on themselves for saying that, saying what he just put quantum in front of everything, but everything was quantum realm, quantum power, quantum energy, quantum, and
quantum coffee.
I needed some quantum coffee. I was thinking, but that was kind of I guess because they can't say microverse.
Oh, microverse is DC.
No, Micronauts. Do you remember the Micronauts?
Yes.
Marvel made the comic of Micronauts, but they don't have the IP. They don't have the license. The toy company, whoever has it, Hasbro or whoever, I'm not sure, still has Micronauts, and they don't currently have a license for them to make it, so they did not call it Microverse because they didn't want to apparently cause
infringe.
Yeah, even though Micronauts isn't like a thing out there right now. But
not yet.
It's too bad. Well, I guess it would be kind of, it might be interesting.
I'm actually working on the collection of Micronauts comic books right now.
Yeah?
Oh, are you serious?
Oh, like the original, the OG ones from Marvel?
From Marvel, and you know what? You gotta love the artwork of that.
I did like it.
What was the run? What time period would the run be?
Early 80s?
Oh, yeah.
My guess would be 78, 79.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Maybe 80s, early 80s, 81, 82. I could be wrong, but you gotta love going to the flea markets when you find comic books and all that. And I'm like looking at this, I'm like, oh my god, Micronauts, and I'm like, you know what? Let's start a collection. So
let's open up that gate, right?
Yeah, I open up another gate as if I don't have enough gates right now for comic books right now. So, they're all good reads. I even work on, other than Micronauts, I'm even working on Shogun Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel Comics, Shogun Warriors.
Like the giant robots?
Giant robots.
I'm surprised that hasn't come back with I guess there was one big giant robot movie that was popular, and the second one not so much.
Yeah, but for me, it's like, part of me makes me wish that Marvel still had all these characters, like Micronauts, Shogun Warriors, and ROM, and I would love to see them in the Marvel universe.
It ran from 79 to looks like around the mid 80s, and then it's been brought back a couple times for brief runs.
No, okay, cool,
very cool.
Yeah. I got a long road ahead of me for this collection now.
Nice.
So, backtracking, I guess we might as well spoil all the things. We've had a few months to chew on Infinity War. Any new... What's your few months worth of chewing on it, your brain?
Well, for me, I tell this to how I told my coworkers and friends who saw Infinity War, and I talked to one guy. He says, well, what's your take on it? Because he was about on the verge of watching. And I said, it's like being kicked in the balls, followed by a sucker punch. That's how I felt. It was just nothing but pure pain. I was really surprised by Infinity War. I love how the characters were put together.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they divided them up. You know, you got one team that's a couple Avengers, couple Guardians of the Galaxy, and you got the other. You get to see Tony team up with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and all that. So I like to see how it was interesting to see everyone being divided up into their little smaller teams.
Okay, here's a question for you. You brought up Doctor Strange. Dead or alive? Is Doctor Strange really dead?
I think he's in the spirit realm.
Did he really get dusted in the snapshire?
I assumed, wasn't he? Like I've only seen the movie once, so from what I recollect, wasn't he not dusted?
Well, on screen he was, but there's a lot of fan theory saying that he faked it.
I think he faked
That
it.
he faked it so that he's out of sight and Thanos isn't looking for him, and he's working behind the scenes to help get stuff going.
I think he's in his astral form.
Okay.
So you're thinking, okay, he's hiding in some sort of dimension right now.
Yeah.
But everybody who is not an original Avenger seemed to have been dusted.
Yeah.
Like, so in that kind of context, they're setting up as if unless you're an original Avenger, you are kind of toast.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe Doctor Strange is a character that going forward they're planning him to be a monstrous, bigger guy that when some of them fade out, so they want.
And I'm okay with that.
Here's the thing that gives. At first, I was like, well, this could go either way, but I found one bit, like I read a thing, I went and checked it out, and it checks out. In Doctor Strange movie, when the Ancient One is dying, and they have that last scene when they're all in the spirit realm,
totally,
and she says, "I've saved the world so many times from so many disastrous futures, but I've never been able to see beyond this point because it's my death." But Doctor Strange in Avengers in Infinity War, sees 4 million possible futures.
That's right, and
if he's dead, he couldn't see all those futures.
That's right.
He could not see past his own time. So if he was actually dead in the snapshire, he would not have been able to flash forward in time.
But is anybody dead in the snapshire? Like, this is a thing. They're all going to come back.
Well, of course they're going to come back.
So, the question is how they're going to come back.
In universe right now, they're dead. In terms of the narrative, they're dead. We know they're not going to stay dead. We know that they're not going to kill Black Panther. But
but are they really dead?
Well,
like,
I think Doctor
are they
Strange,
just sort of in some sort of all parallel universe?
I think Doctor Strange saw.
I think there's all of them are stored in the Soul Stone.
Yeah, they're in the Soul World. But I think Doctor Strange saw the future, saw what was happening, and knows. Okay, well, we got to lay it down here. But he is pieced out, and he's actually in hiding to help out because he knows he had to lay low and get out of the way.
Unless he saw something that he doesn't want to reveal just yet.
And then again, you're dealing with like why didn't he just like sling ring the glove off his hand, right? Like, come on, like or put one in the
any one of a million things. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I was like, hey,
there's a great bit on how it should have ended, where they basically address that too. Right? That's just so funny.
All the different ways that they could have actually defeated Thanos and why he didn't have to be so tough.
But despite them doing that, we all know that they still blame Star-Lord for everything right now. So
I would blame him too. That's his fault. Why did he suddenly all of a sudden just get all in a twist?
I don't know. He went all alpha male and all that. Like during a time period like that, sure, it adds more to the story and all that. But
I don't know. If in Infinity War, that's one thing that I was kind of like bumped up against. I didn't like Star-Lord in there.
Really?
I liked him in the comedy bits with Thor, not so bad.
Yeah.
But I also felt it was a little bit forced. Like they did that joke a few too many times with him trying to imitate his voice. And then like the thing with Star-Lord where he's like, all of a sudden, what'd you do to Gamora? I'm like, really? Like I was like, that fell flat for me. I'm like, really? With the whole universe at stake, he's going to start freaking out about Gamora in this moment. It just felt to me like,
maybe they want him to mess up like that in the first place.
No,
I guess I just didn't think it worked. Like for me, it just felt this is forced and doesn't feel.
Well, I think what you're sensing is that it served the purpose of story and didn't serve the purpose of character.
Yeah,
right. And so that's why it feels like there's a conflict because it seems like I don't really buy his character acting like that at this moment, but they need him to do something, so that way they fall to peril at this exact moment and not overtake him and all those pieces. So I would agree. I think, considering who his character is and what he's lost in his past and where he's come from, that he'd probably be dialed in.
He had his fair share of losses already from Guardians of the Galaxy already. Yeah. So like it's almost, you can see if you really want to tap into the emotion of these characters right now, you look at how each one of them, everyone had a loss in some ways, and maybe they're finally at that point where they're at their breaking point. If I lose just one more thing, if I lose one more person, I'm gonna lose it. I just lost my girlfriend. Where's Thanos? And that's the thing. But it was even more interesting is like seeing just the dynamics, like how everyone thinks this was going to be a cakewalk. Oh, we just got to get the gems. We just get to get the gauntlet. And, and it's one of those things where they bit off more than they could chew. And they did what they can. But at the same time, it's like, I'm really curious to see how everything's going to be bridged. Like, we got Ant-Man and the Wasp out right now. Captain Marvel's coming out. February, like you said, Neale?
February, I think it is.
February? Yeah. Okay, so we got that bridge. A couple months later, Infinity War Part 2. Or what's the other one?
Whatever, I don't know.
Endgame.
They have probably Endgame. They'll drop the title in a couple weeks.
Okay, cool. So we got that. So
I would imagine with San Diego this weekend, San Diego Comic-Con, that they're going to let DC make all their announcements, and then on Monday morning, Marvel will be, and that's enough of you, and they'll just drop all their spoilers, and everybody will forget about DC again, and DC will just go off in the corner and crying, oh, why are they always going to wreck our party?
This weekend's supposed to be Aquaman trailer, too.
Yeah, today. It might be out right now. But.
Ooh. That could be fun.
Yeah. Well, so far, the only thing I've
seen... Like I said,
Marvel
will let them have the news cycle for an hour, and then they'll drop Captain Marvel and the Avengers 4 title, and they'll announce 8 more movies. And
yeah, because right now I only saw one picture of Black Manta from Aquaman.
I saw that picture. It looked really good.
It looks so cool, and I'm like, I can't wait to see this guy in action. So.
Nice.
But once again, I always had like one of many favorite villains from DC. Black Manta for sure, because I just think just the outfit, the costume, the helmet is so odd looking. Yeah. Like I even met a guy from Chicago when I went to C2E2 this year, and he made his own Black Manta costume.
Really?
And oh my god, it was just unbelievable. Like I don't know how long it took the guy to make the helmet, but he managed to put lights in it so he can make the lights light up too. So you gotta love the cosplay action for stuff like that. It's amazing, But right now it's like I know everyone's making jokes about DC not doing so good because of Batman versus Superman and Justice League right now. But maybe this is what's been going on is gonna have to get them to step up their game even more. Yeah. And we all know that Zack Snyder was going through a little bit of his own personal stuff. Who knows who's been told by Warner Bros. What's going on here. But at the same time, you look at the Teen Titans Go movie, you see them make jokes about the situation that they're in too. Okay, you guys are making fun of yourselves. That's great, but you know what? You guys are being literally spanked in the theaters by Marvel. It would be nice to see DC to surprise, but I guess we might have to rely on Wonder Woman when she comes out too. And her movie's next year too. Is there
if they're filming now, I would say yeah.
Yeah, so to me, it's like now one's a time period one too. So
84,
84. So
80s. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how Wonder Woman is going to be played out. Like if it means Wonder Woman to be the saving grace for DC, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, good. Was it?
I want to see what Patty Jenkins does because she came on to the last one partway through. Like it was already in the writing process, so she kind of was. I thought like the story had like the villain was not very good, and it was kind of like they did this switch,
I did not like that. I did not like that.
So yeah, I don't think the overall narrative was all that great, but I think Patty Jenkins inherited that script and then just worked it. So I'm kind of interested to see what she does when she builds this one from ground up. But yeah, we'll see. And Aquaman's going to be more fun, probably.
Cool, considering they got Cheetah or
Kristen Wiig's playing Cheetah.
I am curious to see once again how she's going to play this villain out. And what was the other Aquaman coming out too? So I think that one's going to be a fun adventure too. I saw some of the graphics that they were using for Aquaman. It was just it was more sensory overload for your eyes than anything else. But once again, I'm just here to see these characters come to life again. So.
I wonder if there could be an Aquaman Easter egg, like a mystery appearance in the Meg.
No,
Just him swim by in the background.
chances are it probably end up being Submariner for the MiG. So
So, Ant-Man, where would you put it in this? We've seen, 20 Marvel movies now?
Oh, good question.
Where do you think you would put it?
well, it's been 10 years
Ant-Man and the
later.
Wasp, yeah.
Yeah, but we get about 20 films now, eh?
Yeah,
20,
I would say about
films?
20 or so.
Yeah. I'm probably middle of the pack there somewhere.
Middle of the pack?
Yeah.
Middle for sure.
Same for me. It's, I thought the first one was a little bit funnier, but I think Thor Ragnarok is now the funniest Marvel movie.
Oh yeah,
Like, that one just blew it away.
that was just pure comedy gold. Right
I think
there.
Thor Ragnarok's my favorite of all the 20.
You put that as number one, eh?
It's that.
good.
It's that. It's like 1 and 1A with Winter Soldier.
Oh,
See, I still got a soft spot for the original Iron Man,
Mm-hmm.
just because, to me, that's kind of the real unlocking moment of
Mm-hmm.
the universe. And up until that point, like, nobody was expecting this to come out of the gates. Like, there was so much working against it. First of all, you have this B-level character, and then you also have Robbie Downey Jr., who was trying to get his career back. And so, people did not have a whole lot of faith until they did show, the first trailer at
isn't
Comic-Con.
isn't that like a good underdog story right there?
It totally is. And so I always will have a soft spot for Iron Man, I think. For me, that's sort of, because I was knocked such out of the park for where it was coming from.
I definitely put it in the top 5 just for that, because it was the big boom,
Yeah.
the big bang that created
Yeah.
the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But yeah, I'm like, Ragnarok was so perfect, like coming from like 2 sort of mediocre to bad Thor films, and then I really love Winter Soldier.
It definitely has like a lot of rewatch value. Like you can just watch it, and it zips along, and it's a lot of fun
And
scenes.
not get bored with it.
Not get bored with it. Yeah. Another one I'd put up there for me is Guardians. I was surprised how much I enjoyed that.
I'm surprised by Guardians because I didn't realize this was the group of characters that they're going to use. I'm used to the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, who's that?
Where it's correct, I might be wrong by saying this, but it's almost like they were a group of aliens and they were like the last of their species that became Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh wow!
And so I'm like, oh, they're using those characters. Oh, I thought they're going to use the originals, and I'm like. Yeah, I'm like, well, let's take a look. It was a fun ride for me. Sometimes I gotta remind myself, they're using present day stuff. They're not going to use stuff from Once Upon a Time. But
I liked Guardians 1. It was fun. Guardians 2 was kind of flat for me. Guardians 2 I would put more in the bottom of the pack.
Yeah, so this would probably be somewhere just in the middle of the pack.
I would say,
somewhere where around Thor.
The first Thor?
First Thor, yeah.
First Thor,
somewhere in that range. I to be honest, I was never a huge Thor fan until Ragnarok, and then I'm kind of like, okay, I can get into this world now.
I only watched because it was a superhero movie.
Yeah.
I like Thor, but it's not my all-time favorite character.
Yeah.
I just like But for me, it's like Iron Man for sure because you got to start with what started it all.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier for sure because I like the idea of Bucky coming back.
And it was a good film.
It was a good film.
Yeah.
Black Panther for sure. Like I think,
Oh, yeah.
to me, that was just amazing. But as for Ant-Man, I put him just under Black Panther, just for the fun factor and so forth.
Which one, the first Ant-Man or this one?
Yeah.
Actually, the first one.
Yeah.
I was entertained by what I saw today, but at the same time, just seeing the first Ant-Man, and I'm like, let's see what this. Scott Lang. They're going to use that guy?
I think the first one worked a little better just because it was more organic.
Yeah.
Like they didn't
More to
know,
do, right?
Yeah, they didn't know what was going to happen. Like I said earlier, with Michael
bit higher
Pena,
stakes,
they
too.
knew that was the funny part, and he didn't really organically fit into this one so much. But they wanted to get that scene of him doing the thing where he does, tells you the story, relates the story, and so they sort of came up with the truth serum scene to kind of give him to do that. So, and it was kind of like, okay, we'll stick this in. I'm like, I don't mind it because it was the best part, but it was kind of not as organic, like I said. But yeah. Michael Payne is fun. I you know what they should do, and I can't take credit for this idea. I forget where I heard it. It might have been on Screen Junkies. I think it came from Screen Junkies. Somebody came up with the idea that Marvel, to promote Avengers 4.
Just have him come on the screen and just talk, or what?
They should do a 20-minute video that comes out like a week before Avengers 4 that is Michael Pena's character relates what's happened in the Marvel Universe
Up
so
to that
far
point, yeah,
and
that's what I'm
tell
saying.
everything that's happened in
You know
every
what?
movie and cut in, get the actors to all come in and shoot cut-ins and have him doing the whole thing where he's doing their voices.
Someone
and the
mentioned
whole
that on
thing.
social media too.
And that
Yeah.
would be amazing.
Yeah.
You could make that a half hour long and you would have to pause it because you'd be peeing, laughing, crying.
Totally.
It's so
Someone
awesome.
mentioned that in social media. I forgot which line was it, but they wanted him to do that for like bring up everyone up to speed. Like,
Yeah.
Okay, it's like this. It all started with this guy named Tony Stark, right?
And he's all super fly.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
I think it would be totally awesome.
And then
Because
she's like, the sun's going down. And
That would be,
I would
that
totally-
would be amazing.
And then there's this guy who dresses like a spider, and he's known as Spider-Man, but he's really a boy. And
Yeah.
like I could just see him doing
That would
something.
be so
That'd
awesome.
be a lot of fun.
Is there an online petition for that to get him to do that?
We should somebody should start one. I would say one Ant-Man and the Wasp. This was, however, my I think ultimate favorite Stan Lee cameo. I thought this was
Really?
his best one. I'm like, you know, I laughed out loud harder than any of the other ones. They're always kind of cute, but I thought this was the best one.
But what did you say? The 60s?
The 60s were
60s,
fun,
yeah.
but I'm paying for it now.
Yeah.
Good old Stanley.
What's your favorite Stan?
Oh,
Can you think on one? Does one pop in your brain?
actually, the one that keeps on popping up all the time is I think it was one of the Incredible Hulk movies. I think it was with Edward Norton and Stanley's walking with Lou Ferrigno
Lou Ferrigno into the building.
into
No
the
way, really?
yeah. That to me that was a good one right there. And I'm just flashing back to Lou Ferrigno back in the day when he was the Hulk, and I'm seeing Stanley and I'm like, wow, you just let the memories flow with that one. And
Yeah.
all that. But I enjoyed that one. But also, didn't he get drunk in one of the Thor movies?
Avengers.
In the
I think in Avengers Ultron, he was
Yeah.
drunk at a party.
Yeah, that one. So anything that's like not like just for pure entertainment, like those two for sure. But I'm as long as Stanley's around and good health and all that, I would love to see him in more cameos.
Well, they've like bulk shoot them now. Hey, every couple months they bring them in and they shoot 3 or 4 sort of generic cameos that they can just sandwich into movies going forward.
Wow.
So even when that sad day comes that he passes, he'll still pop up in the next 4 or 5 movies. But which will be a little bit weird and sort of change the context of him showing up.
Actually,
But-
that reminds me of another video I saw on YouTube. I don't know if you ever saw this one. It was like maybe a 1990s or late 80s video. Had to do with comic books and all that, and it had Stan Lee and Bob Kane on it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were talking about how they came up with their characters. I never got a chance to finish up the video. It's on YouTube, and it's like you see these guys. You got the guy who created Spider-Man. You got the guy who created Batman.
Oh, he did not create Batman. He stole Batman from Bill Finger,
Bill Finger. Who's Bill Finger?
the guy that really created Batman.
Really?
Okay,
Okay.
there's a book about. You can find a book about this.
I'm all about the books.
Okay, I'm going to
Bob-
turn my mic off for a few minutes right here.
Is Warren upset?
No. Just I know this is going to be a bit of a story. So
Well, I'll go it fast. Okay. Bob Kane initially drew a character called Birdman, who was like his color scheme was red and yellow. And then working in whatever the offices were, they weren't DC yet. I don't know if they were Dell or what company they were, the publishing company at the time. And there was a young kid in the office, and I can't remember if he would have been like 16 or 18 at the time, named Bill Finger. And he worked with him and said, well, what about this? A bird's not scary. What if you made it bat? And this kid basically drew Batman, and he came up with a lot of the details and sort of, pushed Bob Kane a little bit towards, hey, do Batman, blah, 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 and did this. Bob Kane's father was a lawyer, and they sort of, back in the dark days, there was no copyright law back then, I guess, whatever, and they talked Bill Finger, he's just a young kid, here, we're going to give you some money, sign this contract that says that Bob gets the credit for it. It's not a big deal. Here's your money. Oh, okay. So he had signed this contract saying he could claim no credit for the character and that Bob Kane created Batman all by himself going forward. There's not like 100% proof, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that Bill Finger also came up with the Joker. and that was taken from him too. And all these things carried forward. And then for years, Bob Kane, because of these contracts signed, and with several other people as well, claimed like sole credit of Batman, even though a lot of other writers and artists ghost wrote and ghost drew Batman for years under Kane's name. And it carried on. And this only came to light, I guess insiders knew about it in the industry, but it only really came to light less than 10 years ago. And one of the guys that has really spearheaded creator rights of getting the true creators back their rights from the companies and stuff like that was Neale Adams, and he helped out Bill Finger a bit. And so there was an ongoing lawsuit where Bill Finger, he's long passed, but his family was after Warner Brothers and DC to get this fixed, and they agreed. They settled out of court 3 years ago, or it got finalized 3 years ago, and I don't think they got a lot of money. They didn't. I guess they weren't greedy, or they didn't care about the money. They just wanted their grandfather to get credited for it. So now it's always credited, and Batman vs. Superman was the first film that was credited as created by Bob Kane with Bill Finger, which was the settlement. But realistically, Bill Finger did as much or more to create.
I had no idea about that. No. I didn't know who. I'd
have to look up the name of the book, but yeah, there's a book about it. Somebody wrote. Neale Adams was pumping it on Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman podcast a couple years ago, which was the first time I heard it.
Well, my mind is just blown by this right now. So, anyways, I'll say you have Stan Lee, who created Spider-Man. Bob Kane, who
co-created,
appropriated, or stole.
Well, we'll say co-created.
Co-created.
He had a work in it.
And Bill Finger on this video, YouTube video. So, on that part of my side, I hope you guys get a chance to check it out. It was interesting to see those two put together. Of course, now my mind has changed now since I found out this information about a guy who worked his butt off in the industry and being robbed of his work. Not cool.
Well, and I imagine the film Birdman was a little bit of a wink and a nod.
I kind of always wondered about that when I saw it. Yeah,
Michael Keaton's is best known as a character from
Batman.
30 years ago.
Was that
Birdman?
A hint? Was that a hint?
I think so. I'm pretty sure that would be
intentionally or not. It's a great Easter egg.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that.
I should watch that movie.
You've never seen Birdman?
No.
Simon, it's an awesome movie.
I'm behind.
There's a podcast. Let me tell you.
I just finally finished watching Rampage with Joel.
Nice.
And wow, that's some major special effects in that movie.
Some incredible camera work in Birdman. Is just awesome. It transcends time and space without actually making cuts or seamless.
Well, I saw the parody of Birdman, and they use Big Bird from Sesame Street.
That's awesome.
Once again on YouTube again. So I'm a YouTube junkie.
Where all the magic happens.
Yeah, I'm just a YouTube junkie. I can't help it. So.
You're a YouTube junkie. We probably can't get into this too deep. Warren hasn't seen it yet. Have you seen Cobra Kai?
No, I cut the.
That's a podcast. At some point, you have to watch Cobra Kai, and we can just sit down and talk about Cobra Kai because I love Cobra Kai so much. I initially I saw when it got first announced. I tried to watch it, and I watched the first 3 episodes, and then I hit the paywall. I'm like, okay, I'll pay for this. You couldn't get YouTube Premium in Canada at that time. And then about a month ago or so, they finally expanded internationally, and you could get it. And I streamed it. I watched the whole thing last weekend. And it's so much fun, and it's such a love letter to the original Karate Kid film and to the 80s and films of that style. And it's really cheesy, but it's cheesy in just the right parts that it knows. It very much is laughing with itself and not at itself.
Did they get Peter Cetera to sing some songs?
I don't think they got a Peter Cetera song in there, but there's a great 80s soundtrack. Like they reference that they'll turn on the radios. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and do they twist the narrative a little bit so that way the perspective of they do.
They do. It's the story carrying forward, and you totally have to see it. And they have totally they've announced
because that would be kind of
2.
interesting to me as well. So if you look back through a different lens of what
they've announced a season 2, and they've laid track for it, and it's so much fun and. At times, it sort of switches things up and switches up the tropes from the original. But the last episode was everything I wanted it to be. All the things I wanted to be happening were happening, and it was self-referential, but new all at the same time. And then the very last scene, I was not surprised by what happens in the very last scene because it's where they're writing to. And I'm like, okay, they didn't like do a rug pull and try. If you're paying attention, you kind of think this is what's going to happen. But at the same token, I jumped off my couch and cheered and screamed, yes, bring me season 2 now. And like my brain shit its pants. I was so excited by the ending. I loved it. I was like, yes, this is so awesome. And I was fist pumping at the ending. So you have to watch it. It is so great. They're half-hour episodes. It's worth the 5-hour investment.
So they brought in Ralph Macchio for a cameo, is what you're saying?
No, he's in the whole series.
Is he in this?
Ralph Macchio's in the whole series.
Is he really?
The show
No way.
the show is Daniel and Johnny Lawrence have grown up, and this is them 35 years later where their lives are.
Get out.
And now they re-intersect. Their lives intersect again 35 years later. And it's what happens. And it's amazing.
So is this like a view what happened after the Karate Kid for Ralph Macchio?
Yeah, it's like 30 years later. It fast forwards 30 years later and where their respective lives have gone. And Daniel's life has gone good, and he's very successful. Right. And Johnny's life, after that event, it's basically Johnny, like Daniel went up and Johnny went down, and Johnny's not had a great life. I won't give you all the details. And now he's trying to put his life back together. And what he does is to get back to his roots or when things were good for him, Johnny reopens Cobra Kai Dojo and recruits students and starts training new. And it's amazing. And then the whole season builds towards the last episode is the All Valley Under-18 Karate Championship tournament. And with the two of them there in attendance, and Johnny, is coaching, and the Cobra Kais are in, and it's amazing. Like, you got to see it. I don't want to talk anymore and like, give spoilers because I'll just be going off. But yeah, it is amazing. And that was totally.
After just hearing this, aren't you just happy to hear story arcs like this from our youth making a comeback?
It's
so
well done. And
to me, you got more of appreciation.
I saw a thing with the two showrunners, and they are like Karate Kid super fans, and they've decided to make the whole Karate Kid series canon, that they don't ignore the sequels. They drop a few references to things that happen in the sequels, and they've got, obviously nobody signed, but they said they'd love to if the thing carries on and if it keeps being popular and it goes like 2, 3, 4 seasons. They say if she'd be open to it, they'd bring like Hilary Swank in.
So they want to acknowledge the next Karate Kid.
Oh, they acknowledge all of it. They drop a couple, not hardcore, it doesn't affect the story, but they name drop a few people from the other entries in the series.
Chosen from Karate Kid Part 2?
Nope, but they talk about, they name drop the guy that was sort of like he took over for Kreese in Karate Kid 3. Terry Silver was the character, I think it was. And Karate Kid 3, there's an old war buddy his comes back to help him restart Cobra Kai, and there's that young kid, Mike Barnes, the bad boy of karate, and they name drop those two in the series.
Oh wow, this could be like
it's a fantastic, and it's so fun.
Could this be the Sinister? Could this be the Sinister Six of the Karate Kid world?
Oh my God! Well, I don't know. I don't know how far. I don't know how far they're going to go.
Throwback.
I totally they lay track for season 2, and I can absolutely see that they can totally milk a season 2 out of this, and it'll be very good. I don't know what they do going forward after that, because you have to be, I guess, honest to your stories, that you have to let the arcs move forward, and you have to resolve issues. You can't just keep recycling the same arc in the story.
Right.
But so I don't know what'll happen in season 2 that they could lead to 3, but who knows? But it was very well done.
I can see at the rate they're going, from what I'm hearing right now, it's like it could lead to a season 3. It's depending how.
Well, I don't know. It depends. I don't know what ideas they have, but because the things they set up in this season, they're going to have to then resolve in next season. So could they create enough new issues to make a season 3 worth it and not just be, hamming it up? But
I wonder if this means karate's coming back right now in the martial world scene right now.
At the martial arts world, karate will get back to its prominence as the top martial art.
Yeah. Could this be the start of a whole bunch of karate schools reopening, and all the kids are like, forget this, I'm going to take karate.
I'm absolutely going to get, I sort of wanted one before, but I'm now absolutely going to get at least one and perhaps multiple Cobra Kai themed T-shirts. Like I would love one
Like
just
the
with the logo.
Yeah.
Oh, forget the
with the
T-shirt.
strike
I
first,
want
strike
I want
hard,
I want a
no
karate outfit.
I was thinking if I could do it, if I could afford to do it, I'm going to get.
Cosplay? Is that what you're gonna
I'm
do?
going to cosplay as a Cobra Kai student for Comic Con here.
No,
in
this is what
October.
we should do. We should get karate. We should get karate gis with the Cobra Kai symbol and all that. But we should get our face painted like skeletons.
Oh yeah, like the yeah, like
Oh my God! Watch the show, dude. Watch the show.
they bring back the skeletons.
Watch
No.
the show.
All I have to say is, I think I'll stay home for the weekend and
Watch
just
the
binge.
show. Watch
Well,
it. I believe me. Do it. I'm telling you, when you start it, leave yourself a few hours because I
Yeah.
don't know if you're going to watch all 10 episodes, but you're not going to stop at one. If you start watching it,
Pringle.
yeah, once you pop, you can't stop, and you may like. I would start it in a morning when you know you're not going to get bothered because you might sit there for 5 hours and do the whole thing. It is legit that good.
Well, I just love the meta of it because the actor William
Zabka.
Zabka, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember just hearing the stories of just how hated he was in public, and of course he's typecast as that guy, and all his follow-up films were always playing the heavy or the jerk or the bully or whatever it was.
But he did pretty good with the character of Johnny because he did one of those Buffalo Wings commercials as Johnny and all. And then there was this music video that came out how many years ago, which was titled "Sweep the Leg,"
No way.
and they had half the Cobra Kai guys.
I want just that on a shirt. Just sweep the leg, just for the
Sweep the
people
leg?
that'll get it. But
But to have the show now told from his perspective, I just love the meta of that, right? Because this is sort of flipping back, and it would be kind of curious to almost look at some of the films that you're saying from our youth and saying, okay, let's change the perspective a little bit here. It's almost like in school when you say, okay, here's a fairy tale, but let's look at it through the perspective of the witch on this
Yeah.
one, right?
But did you see the
Here's
other
kids who
YouTube
do a
video?
break and entry into your home and what you're going to do.
There was another YouTube video. Did you see the other one where a guy made a video about the Karate Kid and saying how Daniel was
the bully?
Was
Yeah,
the
I've
bully?
seen that. That's
Yeah,
a great
that was-
video.
Well, I wonder if that was kind of the preepitus to maybe the thinking about the show. Maybe
I don't know, but yeah.
Well, if it is, I think good on them.
They do they don't talk about the video obviously in here, but there are a few scenes where like Johnny's like, yeah, you came in and scammed on my girl and blah, blah, blah. And Daniel's like, she wasn't your girl. And he's like, yeah, we were totally getting back together.
We were totally getting back
It's
together.
Awesome. I was giving her a bit of space and then you moved in and it's so awesome. And you attacked me. It's so awesome. Yeah.
yeah, it's fun.
It's fantastic. Yeah, there's no Elizabeth Shue in season 1. I'll give you that spoiler. But they talk about her a couple times, and the producers are kind of like going, well, if she'd come back, we'd definitely bring her. But
Let's take a look at our budget and see
Yeah.
if we can afford.
Oh, it was so amazing. Yeah,
I think
they've
anything
already
that's
said season 2.
popular, I can see a lot of people want to be a part of
Just
it.
how much fun, right?
It'll be just fun. Like I'm sure, like money will always play a part with a lot of things. But I'm thinking when you're like Karate Kid is just so nostalgic, though. You know, like I think almost any guy or girl nowadays can relate to the Karate Kid. Still, I like with the like I'm not too sure how you guys take. What's your take on the remake of the Karate Kid with Will Smith's kid?
And Jackie
No,
Chan.
that is my take on it. No.
Yeah, no, they had me at Jackie Chan.
They
but,
lost me at Jaden Smith.
Yeah, I saw it, and I'm like, okay, once again, not claiming to be an expert in anything and all that, but I'm like, why are you calling it the Karate Kid when you're doing kung fu?
Well, see, I haven't seen the movies, so
Oh, my bad.
they were doing Kung
I've
Fu
seen
instead of
5 minutes
Karate
of
Kid?
it. Well, it's set in
that?
China.
Said they weren't even doing karate in the
The
Karate
we're
Kid.
doing karate.
It's set in
Oh
China.
no!
You know, and like to me, it's like, oh, don't you guys do your homework? But once again, I like for me, it was like I was happy that Jackie Chan was part of it.
Yeah.
Like have him be the instructor and all. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's fun.
and I'm like, and then like the fight choreography was good. You know, not like Atomic Blonde or what's that one? That Matt Damon movie, the spy one.
The Bourne?
Born Identity,
Oh, yeah.
and all that. Okay, but the fight scenes were pretty cool and all that. But for me, it's like, why call it the Karate Kid when you're doing this? But I'm like, okay, not too many people will catch on, but I caught on. But
Will Smith is an executive producer on Cobra Kai.
what?
Yeah, because he owns part of the rights now.
That makes sense,
He
right?
He bought part of the rights so they could make that
Make the
movie with the
movie,
kids. So
yeah.
he still owns part of the rights. So he's credited as, he had no input on it, but he is credited as an executive producer.
Basically, they have his permission to do this, and they'll
Yeah.
put his
I
name
wonder
on
if Jaden Smith might make an appearance in Cobra Kai.
If he does, I want it to be a non-speaking role, and I want somebody to just crane kick him in the face, and that's it. And that would be the only way I'd accept it.
why
Otherwise,
why crane kick him when you could sweep his leg?
crane kick him right in his face. punk kid, kick him right out of into obscurity.
Obviously, he does not like this remake of the movie.
No,
I don't like Jaden
I'm
Smith.
sensing that.
I just can't
he's
stand
not
Jaden
appreciating-
Smith. I've seen only 5 minutes of that movie, and I just don't like Jaden Smith.
No,
He's an obnoxious. He obviously raised very privileged, and he just needs a good whack in the head, and a crane kick might sort him out.
Now, is that just because it feels like, as you see it, it feels like a vanity project? Here is just a total privilege scenario.
All his things were vanity projects.
Yeah, so is that why you feel...
And he's just obnoxious in social media, out in the world.
Okay.
He's just an obnoxious...
Now, I got a question for you guys. What exactly do you guys mean by vanity
project?
Is that a catchphrase or?
Yeah,
it's just a project. Like, it's a film that
self-serving.
A star either puts themselves or like their kid or somebody in going, well, we're going to make him a big star, and this just makes him look so awesome and just strokes their own ego.
Yeah.
I found even though I watched it just for the sake of watching, because I'm thinking, okay, it's Karate Kid, let's see what it does. There was a lot of points in that movie that was really missing. To me, it's like you don't see the relationship that Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith had. You don't really see the relationship how Pat Morita and Ralph Macchio had. Like, that relationship was completely missing in that
Lightning
movie.
in a bottle. I think when you captured that was one of their chemistry was so great. In
Oh,
that first
totally.
Karate film, that first Karate Kid
but
film.
but when Pat Morita and Ralph Macchio, you see that kind of bond. Like, literally, it was a father and son bond.
I just love the end of the Karate Kid. The very final shot. Do you remember it?
Which
where
one?
they're at the tournament and Daniel wins, whatever,
Right.
and the crowd's all carrying him. And I would think that normally your final shot, if you're doing this, thinking it through, you'd go, and the final shot should be the crowd lifting Daniel because Daniel's the hero and he succeeded and he's holding his trophy. But they don't. They cut to Pat Morita's face, just smiling, Miyagi's smiling, and they freeze on it, and that's the last frame of the film. And I thought that was so awesome. It just gives, even now, I'm getting a spine tingle just thinking about it. But
well, in that nature, let me throw a little question to you guys. Could Pat Morita's character, Mr. Miyagi, be the best mentor character in film?
I'd agree.
I would say
the two big ones you would say would be Mr. Miyagi, or Yoda.
Yoda would definitely be.
And I would say, and I think Miyagi's better.
I don't know. I was thinking of Obi-Wan Kenobi, but
Obi-Wan Kenobi, another good
Kenobi,
one.
he'd be another one.
Kenobi, Yoda for sure, because you see the two different styles of mentorship right there. But but in the Star Wars world, you see it more like a joint effort of mentorship for one person. And but with Pat Morita, I remember back in the day when Karate Kid came out, and I don't know how you guys felt when it came out during that time period. For me, it was like everyone was hoping to have that Japanese neighbor to teach them
to wax a car.
To wax a car.
How many Japanese people benefited from free car waxings but pestered to teach them karate? And
Exactly.
They don't know it. Go away.
Exactly. But the thing is, like, everyone wished they had an instructor or a guidance like that. It's amazing. Like, I still remember, like, me and my friends will still talk about all kinds of martial arts movies. International, straight to video and all, but we always end up talking about the Karate Kid or some Chuck Norris movie. But when it comes to the Karate Kid, when it comes to Pat Morita and Mr. Miyagi's character, everyone wished they had like an instructor like that. I don't know, like, maybe it's that mentorship. Maybe it's all about how he is as a teacher, or how he is about life. I don't know what it is, but you know what? It's just amazing.
Yeah, simple philosophy plus, not. It was the end result of where you finally got the payoff. Like, I guess where I'm going, or where I'm thinking about it is, so often we live in a world where self gratification is right away and instantaneous, and praise is like as soon as you do some the simplest things, you get really high praise. Whereas in this film, you talk about the last scene, Mr. Miyagi smiles, right? It's such an impactful thing. You finally got the lesson I'm trying to teach you, or whatever it is. Like maybe it's all about, the long game payoff as opposed to.
But also what Daniel said at the end too. He said, "Mr. Miyagi, we did it."
Yeah.
Not I did it. Like, thanks, appreciate
That
your
movie
help.
is so awesome too. I wish it would hit classic film series. I'd love to watch on the big screen again. And it's such a great film. Like, the last 5 minutes are just so awesome. After I watched Cobra Kai, I then queued up because the Karate Kid's on Netflix, so I queued up and I fast forwarded to the end because I'm like, well, I can't watch the whole movie right now, but I watched like the tournament, and just the music soar. It's just so, even though I know the whole thing, like, when they're in the locker room and he's going to, Daniel's all upset and then Miyagi does the clap to fix his leg and the whole bit. And the music is so awesome. Directed by the same director as Rocky.
Yeah.
John G. Alvinson.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the one thing I liked about it, is finding out that guy directed it. But with the Rocky movies, whenever you watch the sequels to it, they always flash back to what happened with the last movie.
Yep.
So you're watching Rocky
Catch
2.
you up, yep.
You catch up with see a little bit of Rocky 1,
Yeah.
and also you watch Rocky 2, you see what happened in Rocky 2, and so forth. But they did that for the Karate Kid, but they only did it for Karate Kid Part 2,
Oh, yeah.
but not for Karate Kid 3 or the next Karate Kid. So you don't get that little flashback about what happened. I kind of I kind of miss that. But did they do anything like that in the show?
There's flashbacks, and they do use scenes from the movie.
Actual
Like
footage.
they have actual footage
that's
from
so
the original
awesome.
film. So and then they intercut it. So
Is it in black and white?
no, but it's sort of like color desaturated, so it kind of looks like not sepia, but they definitely tone the colors down a little bit. So
Like
that
for me, I love
it's
the series
memory.
of the Karate Kid. Like for me, is like if there was ever going to be another Karate Kid movie, I kind of hope to see Daniel like in the big screen.
Then
be
this
in
is
the
it.
strip.
No, this is it. And did you know the song, the anthem, "You're the Best"?
Yeah.
That was written for Rocky 3.
Oh, really?
That originally was written for Rocky 3. And
Instead of
Yeah.
Eye of the Tiger.
And then they found Eye of the Tiger, and they
Went,
put that in a drawer, and then the Karate Kid came, and they pulled that out and dusted it off. And if you listen to the lyrics, it's actually about Rocky, and there's stuff like, history repeats itself. Well, history's not repeating itself. Daniel has not been in a tournament before, so the lyrics sort of doesn't make sense, but it's just a great song, and yeah. But yeah.
No, I'm just picturing.
It's not Eye of the Tiger, but
Well, I don't know. Like Eye of the Tiger still gets people going till this very day.
it's
like,
my ringtone.
It's
I
just
love Eye of the
it's
Tiger.
just amazing. Like I remember going to Pan Am Boxing, and one of the instructors will just pop in the Rocky CD, put on Eye of the Tiger, and you see people.
course you will.
You get people go to town on the punching bag. It's just
Well,
it's a great atmosphere.
I had both Eye of the Tiger and Gonna Fly Now, the Rocky theme, on on my MP3 player.
Going to the gym.
When I used to go to the gym and jog a bit a few years ago, and I was out jogging one day, and I was almost home, and it was a hot day, and I was literally like in sight of my front door, and Gonna Fly Now came on.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop. So I just kept on going, and I went two more
Yeah, you can't
blocks,
stop.
and the song ended, and then I had to crawl home almost because I was now dead, and the next song that came up was never going to be as inspiring as Gonna Fly
Did
Now.
you get a chance to run up the stairs at the legislative grounds?
No, I've never thought of doing that, but I've always thought, someday I'd like to go to Philly and run up the actual Rocky steps. That'd be awesome.
When in Philly.
Apparently
Yeah.
people do that all the time, eh? Like every day people go to that.
Do they have a
that-
special day for
that
that?
art gallery? No, they do it every day of the year. Apparently, people go to the art gallery.
That's the thing.
In the over the credits or behind the credits for Rocky Balboa, they show footage of a bunch of people running the steps. And I saw a documentary Stallone, and he said we didn't set that up. We just brought cameras out for a day and film people because people just come and do that. So.
Well, if I ever go to Philadelphia, I'm going to...
We should make a road trip to go down there just to
run
do
That's what we
that.
can do.
I
What a
would
good
tell-
summer trip that would be.
If
eh?
I went as far as going down to Philly, I'm
Yeah.
getting myself a gray tracksuit. I'm going to run it and get someone to film me, and I'm doing it because I'm like, I'm not coming all this far.
Okay, you get the gray tracksuit. I'll get the red shorts and
There you go.
black tank top like Apollo Creed.
You talk about a vanity project. I would go that, and I would get someone to film me with
Okay,
their
I'll have
phone
to get the red shorts with the gold
and
trim
post
and
it
all
forever.
that.
Oh yes.
There's a cosplay for us.
Okay, but please, if we're gonna do this, could there at least be a couple of oxygen tanks waiting for us?
You know you owe me a favor after this, Stallion. Oh my God, Rocky 3. There's another
Yeah.
great one.
But then again, once again, we're talking about Rocky, a little bit of Rocky, a little bit of Karate Kid. Like, what's so special about these movies that makes it more nostalgic than ever before? Like,
Underdog stories. They're just really well made, and
And they're well crafted. Like I remember watching Rocky now. Oh God, this must be about 5 years ago, or something like that. And it's just the classic training montages and a good story. You have Burgess Meredith as his mentor and trainer, and it was really a touching background. But what I remember was the scene before the fight.
he's a bum rock.
The scene before the fight. Rocky just coming into the gymnasium and looking at the size of it and going into the arena. It was this real quiet moment, right? And there's a certain tenderness to it, like that he just, you don't really seem to have in some of these films, whereas the story is driven from the emotional perspective of the character and what it means for the character to experience all this, right? And all of a sudden he's just taking it all in, and you just got a sense, and then it snaps right to the next day when, okay, Dean, now's the time for a fight, right?
Yeah, I think I like the Rocky
setup.
series.
Yeah, the setup is all it's all about.
Especially with the rise and fall of a boxer, like it's always been a story to see.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's like
conflict,
the conflicts, the business. I really enjoyed Balboa. It was him running the restaurant. But what really blew it out of the water for me, was actually Creed. And that was a surprising movie right there. So is this is this going to be like another nostalgic movie for today's youth? For us, it's for us, we have Rocky, we have Karate Kid. So is Creed going to be that kind of feel for today's youth kind of thing? Or?
Possibly. Yeah. Only time will tell. History will have to tell the tale.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like I don't see those kinds of movies how we enjoy them for that kind of time period. Is it because are we looking for new writing? Are we looking for new adventure, new depth to emotions here, or?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, if you look, those movies that we're referencing, those two, they're very strong on character.
Yeah.
And that's what's lacking a lot of times from bigger movies today. They're more about the sizzle and less about the steak.
Well, we talked a little bit today about Ant-Man, and we're just, in our conversation, we're talking about, how the character of Paul Rudd and his connections to the people around him seem to take a little bit of a back seat to the story, and whereas Rocky was all about, especially that first film, it's all about him, his position, what it means to Philadelphia, and this real underdog story, and it took time for we spent quite a bit of quiet time with Rock. And I think that is missing. And Mark Maron had an interesting podcast this week where he's not a fan of the Marvel films and superhero films. He's
really
no, he's not. He basically this is my words of what he was saying is basically making a generation of people who are just getting infantile films, because he's saying here's a generation of films that are meant to be its stories are essentially for children, and now we're getting this as our entertainment. He goes, where's the adult films I want to go watch? This kind of was his thing, because he'll invite people on the show, and in a joyful way, he'll rib them quite a bit if they're part of the Marvel universe or whatever, right? And I'm certainly not saying that, because I do enjoy the Marvel universe a lot. It's like kid in a candy store where it's like, oh, this is a golden time for that.
An argument right there, what happened to today's films? I remember there was so many articles I read. Saying it's kind of like how they compared it to the cowboy movies.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a certain time period. If the comic book era of movies is happening for now, I say just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, absolutely.
But right now, I know we mentioned this before. We're in an era of nothing but reboots, nothing but remakes.
Yeah.
There's nothing really original coming out at all. And that's what I'm seeing right now. So if it means for me to wait for the next Marvel movie, guess what? I'm going to wait for the next Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Until there's another movie that really catches my eye right now, but at the same time, it's what's really out there? We just went to feeling nostalgic about Karate Kid and Rocky, and now we're okay, what else is there for us outside the Marvel universe, other than the DC universe, which I'm still going to watch? Aquaman, looking forward to it. But at the same time, what else is out there for us right now?
Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. Yeah. And something pops up, and it'll be the next thing, and then we'll all be into it.
Yeah, but even something as simple as what's out this summer, Skyscraper, for example, right? That's okay. You're taking Burning Inferno. You're taking
Towering Inferno.
Yeah, you're taking The Rock.
Die Hard.
Yeah, you're taking Die Hard. And
isn't Towering Inferno that Steve McQueen movie?
Yeah,
yeah, with Paul Newman.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that paying homage to the building movies of that time?
Totally, building disaster films, right?
Oh,
of the 70s. Yeah.
I guess that means we're gonna wait for a future remake of Airport 77.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. And it's a lot of like you said, recycling. We've certainly seen this before, and so, or the Meg. Okay, how many shots in that trailer are okay, I kind of remember a shot like this in Jaws. I kind of remember a shot like this in Piranha. I kind of remember a shot or Piranha even 3D from a few.
Well, if you're going to copy, I guess they're going to copy the Masters.
Well, Piranha. I don't know if I'd put Piranha in the Masters.
Maybe not Piranha,
but Jaws certainly.
Jaws. We all know it's
Jaws.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's a lot of recycling. That's for sure.
But and at the same time, all it is just a bigger shark, And but right now, like I don't know, like for me, it's like I watch a lot of cheesy shark movies, like Three-Headed Shark or is it Two-Headed Shark and Shark Avalanche and all. Like I get a kick out of watching those ones. It's it's silly, the graphics are not the greatest, but it's still entertaining, But you just can't you after all these decades, Jaws still stands, man. Like,
it's great.
It will stand for all time.
Yeah, like I don't know what could ever top that.
That's how we're going to end
Light in
every
the bottle.
podcast, just by talking about Jaws and blowing it up, and it'll just become the Jaws podcast. Anyways, guys, this has been really great today.
Yeah.
I think we'll bring it in for a landing right there. And absolutely, you guys are going to have to come back in. And
I think we are going to come back again.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us again.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
And this has been the Screen Chat Podcast. So hopefully you come back again.
Sweep the leg.